Ever wonder what it really takes to become a top-tier cloud architect? Well, today we're going to find out. We're breaking down the entire 15-year career of a real-world expert, Richard Skacel, to see how someone goes from a hands-on admin to a global cloud strategist. Let's get into it.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll follow the journey right from the start, look at that critical pivot to cloud, and see what it takes to get to strategic leadership. We'll break down the skills needed for each stage, and then, at the end, pull it all together into a clear blueprint.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the big question, the one that this whole explainer is really about. You know, this isn't just about getting a promotion. It's a massive transformation of skills, of mindset, and of responsibility. And we're about to trace exactly how that journey unfolds.
All right, let's rewind all the way to the beginning. The first phase is absolutely crucial. We're talking about nearly a decade spent deep in the trenches, mastering the fundamentals of IT infrastructure. Seriously, without this foundation, none of the cool stuff that comes later is even possible.
You can see it right here in the job titles: IT Administrator, Server Administrator. This is where that bedrock of technical knowledge gets built, one brick at a time, year after year, by getting your hands dirty with the real problems that businesses face every single day. And what's so important here is the depth of the expertise. I mean, we're talking about Active Directory. That's basically the digital phone book and security guard for the entire company. We're talking DNS and DHCP, the systems that are like the traffic cops of the network. Mastering this central nervous system of corporate IT was the price of admission for everything else.
Now check this out, because this is a really key detail. Look at the early jump into virtualization. We're seeing VMware ESX 3.5, way back in the day. This kind of hands-on experience with virtual machines and complex storage, like a SAN, which is just a super fast network dedicated to data. That was the seed from which all the future cloud skills would grow.
So, after building that super solid foundation, the career hits this major inflection point. This is the pivot. This is the moment the focus shifts, and it shifts dramatically, from managing physical boxes in a server room to designing and building cloud services.
And this comparison just nails that shift. Look at the words on the left: maintaining, managing, support. Now look to the right: designing, implementing, automating. It's a complete change in mindset from fixing things that are broken to building new things from the ground up.
One of the key pieces of tech that enabled this transition was vCloud Director. The easiest way to think about it is this: it's software that lets a company build and run its very own internal cloud, acting just like a mini AWS or Azure for its own users. This experience? Absolutely invaluable for understanding how the cloud actually works.
And with that came a whole new set of tools. You've got software-defined networking with NSX, which means managing your network with code instead of cables, and a huge focus on automation. The skills are getting more abstract, way more powerful, and they're operating at a much bigger scale.
Okay, so this brings us to the most recent phase, where the role really evolves beyond just pure technology. It's about becoming a strategic guide, a trusted advisor who can translate what the business actually needs into a real technical solution.
This quote from the job description just says it all, doesn't it? The focus isn't on one specific technology anymore. It's on the end-to-end solution. The architect is now the person who owns the big picture, the one who guides the customer all the way from an idea to a finished product.
So what does the day-to-day actually look like at this level? Well, it's this repeatable, high-value process. And notice step one. It's not pick a technology. It's understand the business. Only after that do you move into design, leadership, and even helping out with the sales process.
In this senior phase, the expertise expands again, this time into the big public clouds, Google Cloud and Azure. And just look at the heavy focus on security, figuring out IAM strategies, which is basically the who gets the keys to what plan for the entire system, and securing CI/CD pipelines. This is truly enterprise-grade thinking.
Okay, so we've walked through the entire journey. Now let's open up the toolbox and see everything that was collected over these 15+ years.
The core of the toolkit is deep, certified knowledge across the board: private cloud with VMware and public cloud with both GCP and Azure. Being fluent in all of them is what lets you be a true architect, picking the absolute best tool for the job, not just the one you know.
Then you've got the next layer, automation. See, a modern architect doesn't sit around clicking buttons to build things anymore. They write code that builds it for them. Tools like Terraform and Kubernetes are just non-negotiable for building infrastructure that can scale and be repeated reliably. Now, this part is so important. This reveals another critical layer, structure. It's not enough to know how to build something. You need frameworks like TOGAF, which is like a master blueprint for building enterprise IT, and security standards like CIS benchmarks, so you know what to build and how to build it right.
So after all that, what's the bottom line? Let's distill this entire career path down into a simple, powerful blueprint that anyone can understand.
This table just lays it out perfectly. The whole evolution is right here. You start by going deep, mastering the on-premise world to get that technical depth. Then you go broad, adding a ton of cloud technologies to get technical breadth. And finally, you go high, using all of that to create real business impact as a strategic advisor.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway. This isn't a career where you learn one thing and you're set for life. It is absolutely defined by continuous learning and adapting to a tech landscape that, let's be honest, is changing all the time.
And this whole story, from managing one server to designing global strategies, it's all built on over 15 years of progressive, dedicated experience. There are no shortcuts.
And so this whole journey leaves us with one final, really important question to ask ourselves. Looking at this blueprint, it's worth thinking, what are the foundational blocks that you're putting in place right now to get you ready for the strategic challenges of the future?